So today we're going to make a bandana that has the accent strip tie on there. It is reversible, so you can pick a print for either one of these, and then the band is the same on either side. So to start out, you're going to take your template and pick the size that you're going to make. Today I'm going to make the large, so I'm just going to cut out along that black line. I'm going to use my rotary cutter just because it's sometimes easier just to make my clear cut that way. So I have that cut out. Do take note though, if you are making that extra large, you can see that it kind of gets cut off right there. Not a big deal, nothing to worry about, because what's going to happen is when you put your tie on there, the extra large tie is thicker than this one here, but it's going to cover that, so it doesn't make a difference. So that's just a way to conserve some paper. So don't worry about that edge there if you're making the extra large. These are the fabric choices I've chosen to do to make my large bandana. I have my tie and then one of these for each side of the print that I'm going to do. If you have a certain particular part of the print that you want to make sure you include in your bandana, you can kind of pay attention to where you want to fold that at. I like this one here. It says Land That I Love, so I'm going to make sure my fold is kind of right over that section, and fold your fabric then right sides facing each other. Take your template. It has arrows that point to where you want this to be placed against your fold. So I'm going to put that against my fold and take a fabric marking pen. I have a Sharpie marker just so you can see it better, but I recommend a pen specific for fabric and craft making. Go ahead and make a line on your fabric. And then you can use your rotary cutter or scissors if you want to cut along that line. Again, I'm going to use my ruler just because I think it keeps things in place a little bit easier. And I'm going to cut along that line. And of course I got a little skip on my blade. And then the same for this top section here. So then when I unfold it, you can see I have a triangular shape. For the accent fabric, I'm going to do the exact same steps, just kind of fold it in half, make my fold, put the arrows pointing to the fold of the fabric, and then trace and cut. So now you can see I have both of my triangular pieces cut as well. And then I cut my tie band already. Measurements are on that in that written packet for your reference, depending on what size that you're making. So the next step is going to be then is to just assemble these two here. What you're going to do is stack them together right sides facing. So right sides of each fabric facing each other. They should be the exact same size as long as you follow the same process for both. Go ahead and pin them together. Once pinned, we will take this over to the sewing machine, and you're going to sew this V-shaped here. Leave the top left unsewn, you don't have to worry about that, but sew this edge and this edge using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. All right, so once you have that sewn together, you can see this edge, both of these lower edges here. Go ahead and take a scissors and clip off the tip of this corner here so that when we turn it right side out, you have a nice crisp corner. So after you clip that corner, go ahead and turn your project right side out. I like to use either a crochet hook or sometimes even a pen that isn't clicked, so that it's kind of not super pointy in the end, and use that just to kind of push out that corner so that it lays nice and pointed. And now you can choose if you either want to press with an iron to get that seam along the edge, or you can take some pins and get that seam to the edge like this, and then top stitch that so that it always lays on that edge. Personal preference, I like to top stitch it. It just kind of, especially if you're washing this often, it just helps it maintain that right form. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this now. All right, so now that I have that pinned, you can see once it's turned right side out, I have this little bit of a tail right there. I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that so that it's nice and even and that there's no overhang of those raw edges. so now I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this V shape again. I'm going to leave the top edge left. I don't need to worry about that right now, but just go ahead, top stitch, I would say a scant 1/4 inch from the edge of the project. So I put in that top stitch near the edge of that V shape of the bandana. So we're going to go ahead and just set this to the side for now as we get our binding strips ready. So here I have my strip. I'm going to open it up the long way, right side facing down, and then I'm going to fold it in half this way here. And I was in elementary school, they taught me that was called the folding it in half the hot dog way. And just go ahead and put a seam right along that edge right there, right along that center crease, the whole length of your band. All right, once you have that crease in place, go ahead and open up your strip. And now we're going to fold it again, the raw edge towards that center crease on both sides. All right, so once you have both of those edges folded like this, we're going to now prepare the ends. You can choose if you want your ends to be kind of pointed like I did here in this example, or if you want them to be just flat. I'll show you the difference here. No matter what style you want to do, the first step is to fold over this short edge here by about 1/4 inch and press it with your iron. If you want a flat edge where you don't have an angle, then now you fold it in half this way, and you can see that it just is squared at the end right here. I prefer the pointed edge. I just think it adds a little bit to the tie. So to do that, you're going to fold in each of these sides by a 45-degree angle, like this. And then same with this side here. And then press with an iron. So basically it's going to look kind of like an arrowhead where it's just pointed on the end like here, okay? Once you have that pressed, you can fold this in half. And I like to just place a pin right there because sometimes it likes to pop open again. But you can see that it's nice and pointed and the edges are in alignment. And then after I have that edge done, I'm going to fold my strip in half again, now matching up my folded edges, and just press with an iron to make sure that they lay how I want them to lay. And when I get to this end, I'm going to do the exact same thing with the point as I did on the other. I'm going to open it up, fold it over by about 1/4 inch or so, press with an iron, make my points, press again, and then fold in half. Put a pin in there just to keep it closed. You can see that as a nice point. All right, so once you have your edges done, I like to find the center of my tie, so I'm going to fold it in half, make a crease right where that center is. All right, now we are ready to attach this to our bandana. I have it here so that the fold is pointing myself. You can see that opens up towards me. Now I have my bandana piece. I'm going to find the center of this by folding it in half the same way. And you can press it with an iron if you want, or just eyeball it, it's fine. So I have my center here. I'm going to line it up with the center of my strip. So go ahead and open this up, and you're going to align this raw edge of this fabric with the center crease right here. So I have my center with my center, line it up to that folded crease, and then I'm going to close this back over on itself again and pin it in place. I like to use, on this size anyway, I like to use 4 pins just to make sure that it stays where I want it to stay and doesn't move around at all. And I make sure that the edges, sometimes they like to scoot down a little bit, make sure that they stay up towards that folded edge. Now we're ready to top stitch the perimeter of the ties. It's a personal preference if you want to stitch the whole perimeter, all 4 edges of it, or just the ends that are open. You can start here, do this angle, the bottom edge, and end at this point here. That's fine. Or if you want to go all the way around like I did in this example, That's your choice too. It's really whatever you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that next. And that completes our project. We have everything encased. There's no raw edges. It is fully reversible. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for sewing along.